The bitter video you see took place during the 2024 election campaign in the US. Perhaps never before has a sitting president been so despised and ignored by those he still calls comrades. No wonder this man seemed so happy when he gave up the presidency to Mr. Donald Trump. Perhaps the pleasantries between Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump were more than just diplomatic greetings in front of the television cameras. It seemed that the silver-haired man himself felt a sense of relief, not only at leaving the pressure of the presidential chair, but more than that, he had escaped the manipulation of the Democratic Party. And today, let's join Tihuing Insights to learn about the tragic story of this man who is about to die. Let's start the day. In these early summer days, many voters and supporters of the U.S. Democratic Party received shocking news related to former President Joe Biden. According to information from his family, Mr. Biden discovered that he had prostate cancer, and it had even metastasized to his bones. But despite his failing health, he took the time to thank the many well wishes and letters that poured into his home, an event that drew sympathy from Biden's former rival Donald Trump. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the president was saddened to hear about his predecessor. The first to speak out on the matter was his former staffer Kamala Harris. In an interview, the Indian-born woman who ran for the White House on Biden's behalf in the 2024 election said, "Joe is a fighter, and I know he will face this challenge with the strength, resilience, and optimism that has always defined his life and leadership." At first glance, it sounds like a heartfelt confession from an aide to her gentle former boss. But when we look at the actions of this woman and her faction, we clearly see something extremely contradictory. That is why even Mr. Biden's seat was almost left empty in the last months of his term, leaving this Indian-origin vice president to take the helm. So what happened inside the Democratic Party, or more specifically, with Mr. Biden himself? To understand this, we first need to understand the person Joe Biden is. To put it as simply as possible, this man is the textbook example of an honest official that we learn about every day sitting in the classroom. During his 50 years of dedicated political activities, Mr. Biden has always been extremely loved by his colleagues in the state, senators, and later the White House staff for his simplicity and love of family. Many people wonder why Mr. Biden was so calm when he found out he had cancer. Perhaps not knowing this man has faced so much loss and pain throughout his life. Even as a child, the former president was an active child. Mr. Biden himself was the captain of his high school baseball and football teams. However, congenital asthma robbed him of his youthful years on the field. Losing his ability to exercise vigorously, Mr. Biden threw himself into studying and later passed the law entrance exam at the prestigious Syracuse University, and then went on to earn a doctorate there in 1968. His happiness did not last long, as life took away from this man the most precious treasures, his wife and little daughter, in a traffic accident in 1972. It is also because of this that even though he worked in the Senate in Washington, D.C., he never bought a house in the Capitol, and still spent time every day taking the train from his home in Delaware to D.C. to work. Instead of using a car, Biden is quite different from other congressmen in choosing the train. Every day, people taking the Amtrak train from Wilmington to D.C. see a skinny senator in a dark brown suit, sitting in a corner working on a pile of papers. He also never sat in the VIP car, but often chose the regular car to have the most opportunities to talk to the people. With nearly 8,000 train trips during those 50 years, Mr. Biden heard so many thoughts and aspirations of the middle-class people of America, with so many confidences and dreams. From small to big, all were captured in the very altruistic mind of this man. Many people who have been on the same train with Mr. Biden agree that Senator Biden is a gentle person who would not harm a fly. No wonder that when the news of Mr. Biden's election was announced, the Amtrak train, although missing its regular passenger, still celebrated his victory. They celebrated the victory of an honest, middle-class man like them over a selfish New York billionaire. But unfortunately, those on that train did not foresee what their companions for the past 50 years had to go through. Perhaps I will not spend too much time delving into Mr. Biden's policies because there are too many people talking about it and the documents on the issue for your reference are copyrighted. This is completely opposite to the period of Donald Trump's rule when America was quite prosperous with many jobs created. Not only that, but in foreign affairs, Mr. Biden has also shown that he is not a sharp person. In relations with Russia, Biden is also considered a weak president compared to Putin. Although the Biden administration has applied economic sanctions and provided military aid to Ukraine. However, some critics say that his initial response was not strong enough to prevent Russia from sending troops into Ukraine in February 2022. These consecutive mistakes do not come from the U.S. government's inaccurate assessment, but they can completely come from Joe Biden's longtime rival, which is his health. As the oldest sitting president in the history of the United States, he shows that he is very lacking in the clarity of mind to take on the difficult job of being the U.S. president. However, this happened in a very suspicious way. After the first year of Mr. Biden's term is about to pass, many figures in the U.S. political world in the Senate have a bad feeling and think that Mr. Biden is very likely being manipulated from behind. We are not talking about interest groups here. They will not be involved in the specific decisions of the president. They just need their interests to be protected. Suspicion here falls on the Democratic Party and especially Barack Obama. You might ask why the politicians in the Senate raised questions. The answer is simple, because they are all very familiar with Mr. Biden for decades. Having worked together for half a lifetime, many senators consider Mr. Biden to be a person who is devoted to both the country and his family. And especially Mr. Biden rarely takes actions that want to force the United States to choose sides in international politics. But what Mr. Biden showed in the Oval Office at that time was a suspicious contrast. It is a fact that Mr. Biden throughout his term has always had his interview answers prepared by a council arranged by the Democratic Party to act as his assistants. He has always had to follow an immutable press conference formula controlled by a group of people. The press conference formula, run by Joe Biden's staff, consists of the following steps. First, reporters are selected and approved by the team. Then they compose answers based on approved questions. When he came to the press conference, Mr. Joe followed what the staff had prepared on the papers in front of him. He would call the reporters' names in order according to the staff's arrangement, and then read the answers that were written on the papers in the same order as the questions. Strangely, the so-called mainstream media in the U.S., such as ABC or CNN, controlled by the Democratic Party, kept quiet and did not say a word in response to this. Just imagine, if Mr. Trump had done that, the sky would have fallen long ago and the White House would have been protesting every day. And do you remember the detail about Mr. Biden crying when Mr. Obama awarded him the medal in 2017? At the time of preparing to end his term, Mr. Obama awarded the prestigious award, the Medal of Freedom, along with a statement that Joe Biden was not only the best vice president, but also my best friend. Hearing this, Joe Biden's heart was touched, and this man could not hold back his tears of happiness. Not just an award, but recognition from his boss. But sadly, the poor man had no idea that this was exactly what Obama and his Democratic allies wanted to see. Behind the scenes, the Democrats quickly jotted down a short note about a control freak who could be useful in the future. With Biden, they could easily control such an emotional person, a perfect host for their plan to take back the White House if Hillary lost to Trump. And indeed, everything went exactly as planned. Instead of choosing a strong candidate like Bernard Sanders, they chose a normal person like Joe Biden. It was clear that what the Democrats were propagating about a gentle leader and devoted to traditional values. It really sounded good at the time. But now, everything is clear as day. What happened happened. Mr. Biden's decline, the cover-up effort, and the disastrous re-election decision from two journalists, Jake Tapper and Alex Holmson from CNN, have exposed many details that have startled many Americans. According to sources provided to CNN, in the second half of his term, Mr. Biden himself was arranged by the Democratic Party against his will and took actions to isolate this elderly president. Other officials said they no longer reported directly to Biden, but instead had to go through senior Democratic aides. The isolation became more apparent in October 2023 when a cabinet secretary revealed that the cabinet had been kept at a distinct distance and had not had access to the president for months. In a rare meeting, the secretary was stunned by the president's unusual health, saying Biden was regularly medicated and often fell into a trance, staring into space with his mouth open. Things become even more suspicious when we see that Mr. Obama has been extremely active on all fronts since Biden was elected. This is in complete contrast to other presidents who, upon retirement, have chosen a peaceful life with their families and loved ones. Every decision Mr. Biden makes is fully supported by Barack. But whether all those decisions were really made by Mr. Biden or not is something that the American people have a huge question mark over. There is a very strange number about Mr. Biden's term: 570 days of vacation from work. That means in less than 4 years as president, he took nearly half of his time off. An absurd story to the point of suspicion. It is unprecedented in history. Before Kamala ran for president, this story did not receive much attention. However, since that day, the American people have begun to ask many questions about who is actually responsible for leading the country. And perhaps now you have gradually understood the video we put at the beginning, right? A president in a meeting right at the White House, but was completely ignored. No one cared. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala and former President Barack Obama felt like the host of the party, shaking hands and chatting animatedly with the objective Democratic Party. Even more humorous and strange was Mr. Biden's reaction when the results of the 2024 election were revealed. Right before the election day, Mr. Biden was very calm and happy to wear a Donald Trump slogan hat on his head. And on election day, reporters caught the image of his second wife, Biden, wearing all red, the color of the Republican Party, to vote with an extremely excited attitude. What is it? Well, I will just leave here the photo of Mr. Biden after the election results were approved, a smile of relief and directed at those who have tried to manipulate him for the past 4 years. What do you think about a person whose fate is not in his own hands like this? Is it pitiful? Discuss with me in the comment section. Now, goodbye and see you again.